He doesn't know. He
No,
doesn't know
I'm
it.
ready. That's the thing.
So writing glass isn't going to
Sure.
help
Perfect.
you.
Though.
Do we
Okay.
like I would get an opinion if they like the different font for the title than for the names.
Oh, from. Alright, so
Oh,
shall we
like-
start?
Wait, you're gonna move the desk, right? You said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Should I
just go on that side, pretend it's not there.
Okay. I'll go over here.
Yeah, no light over here. Let me take my phone out of my pocket this time. I guess, should I time this?
Yes.
Here. I got it.
No, put it over there so I can see it's fine.
Well, I'm not gonna put it over there. I'll put it here so I can stop. Alright, ready?
No.
Yes.
And let's go.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Paulson.
I'm David DiRenzo,
I'm Ethan Byrne.
I'm Alfredo Benavides.
and today we're presenting to you the effects of social media on the Black Lives Matter movement. So, out of everyone in this room, how many of you have used social media? Wow, look at that. Everyone's raising their hand. That's because social media has a big prevalence among the youth in today's society. As you see by this graph, the most widely used social media is YouTube, followed by Facebook, then Instagram.
Jake Boss Simmons, please contact the main office. Jake Boss Simmons, please contact the main office in room 215. Thank you.
94% of 18 to 24-year-olds. This shows how widely used it is, and as you can see, it's even bigger with teenagers in high school. So, what is Black Lives Matter?
The Black Lives Matter movement first started when Trayvon Martin was killed and shot after being chased unarmed by a white cop. He was later tried and he was found dead, and the policeman was later tried and found guilty, but was not found guilty enough to quit his job. He was asked to resign.
So today we'll be arguing that social media has a very negative impact on the Black Lives Matter movement and promotes almost no positive effects to it.
But before we go into why social media is harmful to the Black Lives Matter movement, we have to establish why Black Lives Matter has to be said instead of All Lives Matter. This graph, conducted by Centers for Disease Control and Preservation, shows that dark-skinned ethnicities have been targeted more by law enforcement, and as you can see as well, white people have not been applied to this graph, which shows that we need to say that Black Lives Matter instead of All Lives Matter because they're the ones being persecuted and not white people. So now that it is evident why the purpose of saying Black Lives Matter is important, this social media can also be shown to address why Black Lives Matter. But although social media may seem to be a good source of showing why Black Lives Matter, it also has a negative impact, and that is creating unintentional anti-Black Lives Matter movements such as All Lives Matter, which creates further complications for the movement to solve and creates more problems that they have to deal with in the future.
Relating back to the graph Alfredo shown before, because most African Americans are being targeted here, they're voting for people who are with their race so they can support them and defend them. Here, after the Black Lives Matter movement started, more black people showed up over more white people voting more. As a result, there are more people who are African American over white people in Congress and politics in general.
So, I'd like to talk about the psychological aspect of it. Because it's a movement with a mass of people, there's an effect called the bandwagon effect that affects how people join the movement, and it'll make more people join the movement because they'll see a friend do it, or they'll see someone they know or a loved one do it, and that kind of creates a loss of individuality, and they may not even agree with the main idea of the movement, but they're just maybe doing it to tag along and be on the winning team. So, besides Black Lives Matter movement, it was also prevalent with flags on Facebook. In the LGBT rights movement, there were people on Facebook that would change their profile picture to a rainbow flag to signify how they agreed with the movement. So a study was done, and it showed that about after 8 friends, the average is 8 friends, that people would change their profile picture and they would join the movement. So another thing that affects it is slacktivism. Slacktivism it's a negative connotation of the word clicktivism, which is click and activism, which is a form of protest on social media. Slacktivism produces less impactful movements, and a study done by Pew Research Center showed that 71% of people believe social media makes people think they're making a difference when they are not, and also 77% of people responded that they believe social media distracts them from the true problems. As you can see from this picture, this is a criticism of tweeting and activism on social media, as instead of actually going outside and helping the woman that's being attacked, they're just tweeting, in quotes.
Well, relating back to David's idea about slacktivism, this chart done by Pew Research Center shows a casual trend in the number of tweets using the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement. As you can see based on this chart, after an event such as the shooting of a black man by a police officer, the number of tweets relating to Black Lives Matter dramatically spikes. As you can see, over time, the number of tweets increases with each event. So in the future, for my lens, in the future, the number of tweets relating to Black Lives Matter will gradually increase after each event. So another thing social media causes is it causes a decentralized leadership within the protest, which means that since there's no one designated leader for the movement, anybody can become a leader and lead a protest. So what this does, it creates less powerful protests within the movement, causing a less overall impact on what they want changed in society.
Okay. So our first solution here is educating people on the movement. It could be implemented by installing it into the curriculum of health, either the 5th grade health that you take or the health you take in high school, because both are required. We thought it would be necessary. You could teach about racism, you could teach about the Black Lives Matter movement itself, and it can also be a branch of social studies with the civil rights movement. The pros of this would be that it'll bring more people to the movement, and it may affect it larger, and people will learn about socio-political issues. Con is that it creates bias, as the teacher may speak about it in a specific way that'll influence the way the students will learn about it. And also, only knowledgeable people can educate people. So the people that are educating them on a Black Lives Matter movement will have to have further knowledge and will have to have experience with the Black Lives Matter movement.
Another solution that we found possible was designating one leader for the movement by having an electoral vote between people among the movement. So this could do many things, such as centralize the movement more, creating more powerful protests, and allowing the movement to have a larger impact on society.
And another solution to strengthen the Black Lives Matter movement without the use of social media is by addressing one problem. And what this does, it allows more people to use their minds to create solutions faster. And by doing this, they can do this by creating groups, separate groups, and each group can tackle one problem at a time. But what this also does, it allows for more problems to be created in the future, which makes more complications for the movement to have to handle with.
Overall, the Black Lives Matter can do much better without social media because it can be solved quicker and
So the only thing is that for Black Lives Matter to become more successful, it must branch outside of social media, because then it'll find more grounding. Social media is an ever-changing network, and it'll always adapt. Yeah, I pulled that out of nowhere.
That was nice. Write that down.
I thought we were all gonna contribute to that one. That's why I said